Hi everyone, Steve. Welcome to another episode of the Audio Files. Now, if you haven't subscribed, please do. We're almost at 2,000, and you know what happens at 2,000. I'm giving away a bunch of prizes to my 2,000 subscribers. So guys, thank you so much for subscribing. We've got some great stuff coming down the pipeline in the coming weeks, so stay tuned for that. Now, let's get right to it. My comparison of Eric Clapton's Unplugged, the MOFI OneStep, the MOFI SACD, the Chris Bellman cut from 2011, and my original 1992 Ted Jensen mastered CD. So let's get going, and we'll see you on the other side of the Audio Files. Well, you guys all know Mobile Fidelity's OneStep of Eric Clapton's Unplugged just came out last week. I just got mine shipped to my house here in Vancouver last Friday. It is now Monday afternoon, and here we are. I had a good listen to it on the weekend. I also had a really good listen of Chris Bellman's cut from 2011, the Reprise Records version. This is a 33 RPM cut. I pulled out and found my original 1992 CD mastered by Ted Jensen, and I have the SACD by MOFI as well, mastered by Shawn R. Britton. Let's get right to it. What did I hear? Well, we'll start with the Bellman. First of all, I feel the recording itself, recorded in London in 1992. I think it was very well recorded. It was recorded digitally, as everyone knows, of course. Now, the Bellman, nice wide sound stage. It is cut at 33 RPM. It's a double 33 RPM album, as you probably know. Very well balanced, very dynamic. The vocals were loud. The crowd was loud. And this is where it gets really interesting when I do my comparison. When I do my comparison with the OneStep versus Bellman's cut here. Again, the guitars are really well defined, and I'll get into that as well. But all in all, I felt the Bellman cut was louder. Maybe it had more of that digital feel to it. I don't know what it is. Maybe they used the a PCM file to cut it to vinyl, whereas, of course, MOFI for the SACD would have used DSD, and DSD maybe has a little bit more of an analog feel to it, a little bit softer. So I felt the Bellman cut was, I think, probably a hotter cut, mixed a little bit hotter, a little punchier. And I really did a good comparison. I love the song Hey Hey because Clapton nails the guitar, all of his chords on Hey Hey. So if you listen to Hey Hey, you can hear the foot stomping. You can hear him hit every single chord on his guitar, all the high notes, the bass notes, everything. Very well pronounced. But all in, the vocals on this pressing throughout the entire album are just louder. And that's where I'll get into the OneStep. Now, Kreig, Wunderlich, who was the mastering engineer for the OneStep, again, did a great job. I just feel the OneStep is a little bit smoother. It sounds a little bit smoother. The vocals aren't as I guess, pronounced, or not as loud. The guitars and all the other instruments seem very balanced. And the crowd itself seemed a little bit pushed back as well compared to the Bellman cut. So I'm sure what they probably tried to do is when they mastered it, I mean, maybe it sounded too bright. And so maybe what MOFI did is just take it down a little bit and balance it out. So again, it's not as bright, not as punchy as the Bellman cut, but all around, I mean, it does sound fantastic. I mean, go to the song Hey Hey, you can hear him foot tapping the entire time. It's very pronounced. His guitar, absolutely solid. All of the strings you can hear just so closely, and you can tell too, right? I mean, when it was recorded, there's this microphone to sing, and then just over here you have the microphone that captures the guitar. So I mean, again, it was very well engineered and produced. And I mean, MTV's Unplugged, this is the preeminent Unplugged concert of all time. I think this album went on to sell 20+ million records. So I mean, it's something I grew up with, and it definitely has a different sound than the Bellman cut, and it definitely has a different sound than This is my original that I've been listening to since 1992. The original as well. The CD itself is punchier, a little bit more dynamic, a little bit louder. Of course, the crowd's louder. Eric Clapton's vocals are louder as well. So if you want more of a balanced feel to it, I think what Kreig Wunderlich did here was really balance it out and smooth it all out. And it all in, I think it's just a smoother, softer feel to it, if that makes sense. And again, the SACD, my MOFI, this was mastered by Shawn Britton. No different as well. This here, the vocals too, a little bit softer, a little bit quieter, the crowd than my 1992 CD that was mastered by Ted Jensen. Now, maybe it's the file they use for the SACD. Now, as everyone knows, this was mastered using DSD. So, I mean, and I'll read it here too, and I think this is really interesting. So what they've done is they've extracted the original master tapes and directly fed it into the Mobile Fidelity's 4x DST AD converter, which is sampled 11.2 megahertz. And then from there, the 4x DSD file gets downloaded to 1x DSD. So I'm not sure. I know DSD especially has more of that analog sort of feel to it or sound to it as well than maybe a PSM file, which I believe was used to cut the Bellman vinyl and probably the 1992 CD. So just a little bit different technology. And I feel the MOFI one, if you want more of a smooth, more balanced, more flow, I mean, the instruments still sound great. You will not go wrong and will not be disappointed with the MOFI versions at all, guys. They do sound really good. But if you want something a little bit punchier, and I mean, I had to listen to these guys a bunch of times because I wanted to make sure. I thought my ears were fooling me. So I went back and played Hey Hey, I don't know, probably 10 times in each album here, and definitely the 92 and the Bellman cut from 2011, louder. The vocals were louder. Instruments all in. Didn't hear much of a difference in terms of the instruments, but definitely the vocals, definitely the crowd sounded much louder, a little bit punchier, a little bit more dynamic. So it really depends on what you want and what you want to spend your money on. I mean, this is, as we know, $125, limited 10,000. These guys are still going on Discogs, I think $25 and up. I mean, you can pick up the the 1992 CD, probably $1 at a yard sale or $3 or whatever like that. Or of course, you can get the SACD going for $29.95 on the MOFI site. So that is my comparison today. I think all in, it really depends on what you want. I mean, the MOFI one, it's just a little bit smoother, a little bit softer all in. This is punchier. SACD by MOFI, the same, softer. These two sounded a lot the same. So maybe obviously quite the same mastering. I mean, obviously different engineer. Ted Jensen did this one, Bellman did this one, but the vocals, again, I can't stress enough, the vocals were much different. And then one other thing, I know a lot of people were mentioning the cover, seemed a little grainy or whatnot. If you look at the original 1992, I guess it's just what MOFI received. They probably received the original file because it looks no different than the original CD here as well. So it has nothing to do with MOFI putting up a poor picture. That's probably what they were given. If you look at the Bellman cut, I mean, they enlarged this one and it's absolutely, it looks pixelated and whatnot. So yeah, and I will say as well, Bellman, this was pressed by Pallas. Of course, this is Supervinyl and it was quiet. The Pallas one was quiet as well. So I think for anyone that's looking at this album, I think it boils down to price point. If you've got the original CD, you will not be disappointed with it. If you own the SACD, again, you're getting a great reproduced album, a little bit softer, not as dynamic. It just depends. I'm a huge MOFI guy, so me having to listen to this a bunch of times, I really couldn't believe what I was hearing. Definitely big differences between the Bellman cut and the OneStep. Definitely big differences between the MOFI SACD and my original 1992 CD. So I hope this helps. Love this album. We'll see you guys again, and you know what to do. Keep playing that vinyl or the SACDs and turning them up real loud. We'll see you again.